What's up, y'all? Still catching up on episodes. This one is Eric Harmon. This is back from late June, early July. An amazing conversation. He shares about Instagram, how he's gotten 34% of agents found on Instagram, an insane number. So you got to listen to that. He talks about the local contractors. He's been a beta tester for pretty much everything. And what I love about Eric is that he is not afraid to do the practical thing to help his clients. So he does anything and everything in service of his clients and has great communication. He doesn't worry about the typical things that some inspectors can worry about. So it's cool and refreshing to hear his take on how he's thinking about connecting his home buyers with contractors. I think he even like sells ad space in his reports, does some really cool things there. And then he talks about getting like a 20+% take rate on his upsell emails on Sewer Scope and how that's kind of changed his business. Insane how he tracks his numbers. I'm a fan of it. I encourage and challenge everyone to look at your numbers this way and start thinking about those upsells, especially in this current environment. So hope you enjoy the episode, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, that hat looks familiar, brother.
Hey, I could not wait to put it on to talk and for you to see it.
Man, it's just kind of wild seeing someone else wear it, to be honest with you.
Hey, that's why you send them out, right? That's why. How is life, man? Thank you for finally making this work. I apologize for the reschedules and the mix-ups. But glad we can do it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No, I'm excited. Man, life's been busy. Down to one job. I still feel just as busy.
Let's dig. We can jump right in if you don't mind. If we can dig right into that. I'd love to kind of get a catch up on where you're at with everything. And it's funny because I was looking back. We've never done the podcast before, did we? Did I skip over?
I don't think we have. No, I did one with the Wilsons probably a year ago, but I don't think I've done one with you yet.
Okay, and maybe it's because we rescheduled it a couple times. Where I literally clicked through all like 90 something episodes and was like, "Where's our first one?" I know we did one before, but we've just talked so much that it feels like we've probably done it.
Yeah, we've had a pretty good email chain of conversation, but I don't think we've actually Zoomed. I mean, we had a Zoom about the beta client portal. We did that.
Yeah, maybe that's it. And I see you on social media all the time, and I wear your hat, so maybe it just feels like we've done this multiple times. But anyway, what's keeping you feeling so busy?
You know, man, I just I felt like I had a real good wind behind her back coming into spring. Just got hooked up with the right agents, the right busy agents, and then kind of word of mouth started to spread. And I don't know, man, just been staying pretty busy, doing about 25 to 35 a month, which is pretty comfortable pace, I think. So, yeah, dude, I don't know, I just feel very fortunate. We got blessed. Hopefully it stays around for the rest of the year. We'll kind of see what happens, but we're cruising for sure.
So let's take people back and kind of give them the history of you in the inspection industry. We can go further back in a minute, but when you got in, because I like your story. I want people to hear in terms of when you got in and kind of what that journey's been like.
So being a home inspector is like a backup job. So I was a career airline mechanic, and then when COVID hit, we all got layoff notices in the mail. My wife was a flight attendant for a competing airline, and she got the same notice in the mail that I did on the same day that I did.
No way.
Yeah. So, and we had a 4-month-old at the time. This was February 2020. So I had a buddy of mine at the airport, comes up with like a get rich quick scheme like every other week. And one of his ideas, like, hey man, we should be home inspectors. And I rented at the time. I was like, well, what's that? You know, like that job exists. So I Googled it, did some research, found out about Internachi. I was like, man, I could do this. So got certified, technically opened business June 1st, 2020. First inspection was probably like tail end of July. And then I had a full-time job for a little bit, right? Working at the airline and doing home inspections. Never did get laid off. They laid off like 19,000 people. I was within 30 of the cutoff. I was like, so I mean, like it got really close. So then I wound up with 2 full-time jobs, and I was doing home inspections in the day. Do one at 9, one at 2, and I'd go work at the airport all night. clock in at 10 p.m., leave the airport at 6:30, take my daughter to school, and start all over.
That was 2020, or that was back
Yeah,
half of 2020.
that was 2020. Not man, that's how life was all of 2021. Doing like 5 to 8 inspections a week and working 40 hours at night at the airport.
I have so many questions. So that was COVID year, was it not? I lose track sometimes. That was
Yeah.
so.
So
How did that
COVID was like
impact?
kind of the
Yeah,
start,
how did that impact your decisions? Because COVID hit March, April, where things
right?
really shut down. What did that impact you getting into the business at all?
Oh man, that was why I did it, because we were told we were going to lose. Hey, you're going to lose your job in October. It's like nobody's hiring jet mechanics right now. Right? I'd already called around to all my buddies. Like, man, we've already had layoffs. So, all right, I need to manufacture a job that can replace an airline salary. Turns out this one could do it, and my skill set from working on airplanes directly transferred over to inspecting houses. In fact, it's a little easier because I don't have to fix anything anymore.
Right.
Right? So it just worked out. This was a backup job that just kind of flourished, and it's now my full time occupation.
Wow. So I ask everyone this, like, so you decided to do it. What was day one? What did day one look like once you one committed to doing this, and two, kind of your first day of like, how do I get business?
Man,
Like,
day one was, I don't remember the first day, but I remember like the first week, like sitting at home. It's my day off from the airport with so many tasks that need to be accomplished, and I don't know how to do any of it because I've never had to learn. I didn't know how to market, didn't know how to run a business, don't have a financial background, so I had to learn that. It was a lot of switching hats off very quickly and trying to very quickly come up to speed on necessary tasks that need to be accomplished, along with learning how to inspect a house, right? Learning how to interact with people in a high stress situation where people are spending like every dollar they have.
how did you learn that part? Or where'd you even start with that?
That
Because
took a little bit of learning. I mean, from the airlines, I talked to passengers, talked to pilots. Say I work on a flight, a safety of flight system, something important, and now I have to go calm down this pilot who's about to take 300 people to Australia. That kind of communication or being able to quickly gain trust in a high stress situation kind of transferred over a little bit.
Mhm.
Still a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
No real estate experience, so I had to learn. I had to learn to speak the right language. But I think I was fortunate with the communication skills I developed at the airport, being able to like basically deliver bad news. You know,
You get good at it, right? You get good at knowing how to deliver.
man, you certainly do. Like looking back at like my first 50 inspections, like Lord, like super fortunate that those ladies, those agents gave me a chance, but definitely a lot more polished now.
So how did you even meet the first agent? How did you even get the first job? Do you remember?
Man, my first inspection that didn't have anything to do with a family member buying a house, or wasn't like a friend or something like that. It was a $1.2 million house in Fullerton, built in 1928. It's like two-story with like a super intricate crawl space. And this agent, her name's Allison. She's my highest producing agent. Um,
That was your first job.
my first job, man. She called me at like 3 o'clock 2 days before. I was at the airport. I had to run to the break room to take the call, and because a quiet spot where I could pick up the phone and I could hear it on her voice, like, "All right, let's go." And like, man, like nerves set in pretty hard. I was like, "Holy cow!" This lady's trusting me to go inspect this like $1.2 million, like 1.2 million in 2020. The place is probably 2 million now. Um, and nerves were going for sure.
How did you even meet that agent?
So she's a good friend with my father-in-law, he sells insurance. He's a farmer's agent.
Okay.
So he's like, "Hey man, I'm gonna get you in an office. You're gonna have to learn how to do presentations. Go talk to these people, and make a quick PowerPoint and just get you started."
Wow. So you got some encouragement from there and some.
Definitely, because it would have been an uphill climb without a little bit of tutelage on that. Because it's not a job or a task I ever had to accomplish.
Right.
Last time I made a PowerPoint was high school.
Right.
Man, it's been a bit.
Yeah. Okay. So you do that house. What was going through your mind mentally there while you were doing it, and then delivering the report?
Man, so this was this guy's like third or fourth house. Man, he's probably mid 50s. So he's been around. He knows what he's looking at. He knows the situation. I wound up finding a cast iron drain line underneath the house with like a 2-foot crack in it that every time you ran the water was like an enormous amount of water entering the crawl space.
What?
I was like, well, this is what Ben Gromyko would call a material defect. I'm looking around at like all this bogus GFIs, cover plates, all this easy stuff. And I find this, I'm like, holy cow, we got something good. So I had to deliver that. And he's like, how easy is it to replace? I'm like, it's probably pretty easy. You have good access. Just call your favorite plumber and just have them unscrew the pipe, put a new one in.
Yep.
Right. It's a 100-year-old pipe, just about. It was a 98-year-old cast iron pipe. So it's like, it's time to go.
Doing what it's supposed to do at
right.
year 90.
Yeah. So, I mean, didn't get a good review out of him. Didn't get a bad review either. It worked.
Hey, that's a win. That's a win. Okay. Yeah, so you knocked that one down. Where do the next 10, 20 come from to get you to that sustainability point where you're like, wow, I got something here?
Man, so that was probably July 30th or so. I think my next one might have been like August 25th. Like it went a huge stretch. So I didn't know anybody. I'm trying to put my name out there. I tried a little bit of cold calling, which is a lot more difficult than it seems. I did one for my buddy Matt. I'm inspecting his next place tomorrow. I did one for Matt, like an investment property back in the day, and that went pretty well. And then we did the Instagram thing, started catching a couple agents here or there. We do like 4 to 6 a month. I think September I had 8, October I had 8, and I thought we were busy.
Let's break down the Instagram thing, the quote unquote Instagram thing, because this, where did you even get the instinct to go there? Did you have prior experience in using it? Like, talk me through that, because this is not second nature to most inspectors, as you could guess.
Man, it wasn't even really second nature to me, because personally, I'm not good at it. I rely a lot on my wife to do it.
Me too. Same. I ask her questions all the time on Reels and all.
I'm not allowed to post anything. I posted something about a year ago. Oh man, it came back quick. So she's in charge of how it looks. She schedules the post, tries to figure out what gets the best engagement. Obviously, I produce the knowledge or the content of it. Mm-hmm. And then it's usually me behind like if you're messaging the Instagram, it's going to be me replying. But the look, the feel, and the kind of content it's putting out, that's all her.
I guess why did you even think to use it in the first place? What was the thought process to like even think about Instagram?
Well, when we first started, I knew I had to meet agents, and I couldn't get in an office, mm-hmm. right? Because no one was in an office. We're talking summer of 2020.
Dead. Yeah.
Nobody's in it. I couldn't get in one if I tried. The doors are locked, like literally. So, all right, how do I get in front of agents? So let's put my face on Instagram. Let's get a business Facebook started and all that stuff, and get some FaceTime. Go, see what agents I would want to work with, and basically become their friends. So I found a group of ladies at a Keller Williams office that they love giving back to the community. They seemed like cool agents. I just made online friends. Never even talked about business. Just they'll click on the page and they'll find out if they want to. And that's just kind of how it got started. Just let's go make friends and see what becomes it. Go find people I want to work with, people with similar values than what we had.
I want to highlight this because your approach to this is refreshing, and it's the right way to do it. It's counterintuitive. It's backwards, because you're like, hey, let me just not even talk business and business will come. And I love hearing this like in practice happening. I'm looking at it's Crosswind Home Inspection. I'm going to link to it in the description for anybody, but I always like showing inspectors people that are doing it right and accounts they need to follow, because I'm scrolling through this and this is beautiful. Your face is everywhere, as it should be. This is outstanding. So like if I'm an agent, I feel like I know you because I just saw your face 30 times scrolling down your page, right?
And I've showed up to inspections and I've had a client be like, hey, it's the dude from Instagram. Like that came out of somebody's mouth. And I was like, sure is.
That's like, awesome. That's awesome. And you've got the hat on, the shirt on. Like, I'm a marketer and by nature, by trade. And so I'm literally just calculating brand impressions and I'm at like 50 already. And
Right.
that's like a key to someone. And, you know, I'm looking at your background, crosswind, looking at my video. So you're doing something really right here that I want people to realize. That talk to me about like, if there was a fear of getting yourself behind the camera, behind the phone, because some inspectors look at this and they're like, oh, those guys that do that, they're all just super charismatic. It's not in my nature. Like, I'm not an extrovert. You
Right.
strike me as someone kind of in the middle. You're somewhere in the middle. I don't, you know, to do
I've
this.
grown, man.
So how,
It's not comfortable sitting in front of a camera. It's not. I mean, it was difficult at first. Every now and again, I still have like, you know, I'll try. I'll do 20 takes to try to get something talking about a panel while I'm at a house. And some days, like, screw it, dude. Phone's going in the pocket. This isn't. It's not working.
I don't feel the vibes today. I don't feel
Yeah,
the,
it's man. That happened a couple days ago. Like I had something great to highlight. I'm like, you know what, dude, this isn't it. So it is hard. But you gotta try.
so you more of, so do you think of content kind of all the time, like as you're doing an inspection, or when does the content kind of come to you? And
Man, it's pretty. Aside from like the trendy like TikTok stuff, like we'll post that up just to get a little bit of attention. But like when it comes to the informative stuff, I'll be at a house and I'll see a breaker heating up and the wire next to it is heating up. I'm like, sweet, nobody's around. Let's bust out the phone. Let's talk about it. You know, because this is interesting. I did a video on like defects I found at a flip, and I saw some like pretty outrageous stuff. I was like, you know what? We're gonna do like a segmented video, and I was there by myself at the house for like a couple hours. So this is a great time to make some content. I don't have any distractions. I'm not gonna piss off the buyer or the seller. And these are wild, you know. So usually I'll be at a house. I just whip out the phone. I'm like, cool, this is good. We'll talk about this.
do you have fun making content?
Yeah, when it comes, yeah, if it goes smoothly and it takes me less than 10 takes to do it, sure, yeah,
Are the takes going down? Do you feel more natural sometimes when when
yeah,
you do click record?
yeah. It's just, yeah, it's like a muscle. You know, the more you exercise it, the more tone it gets, the easier it gets. It's not easy in the beginning. It's definitely not easy, but it does get easier with time.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for everyone to go to your page and look at it. It's everything I typically try to push everyone to do, which is getting your face on stuff, smiling, having different emotions and reactions, just like real humans, right? It's like kind of
Right.
experiencing life, but you're sharing it on social. Doesn't come natural to me either. I know it doesn't come natural to most home inspectors, but it's cool to hear that you've had success from it. And I imagine it keeps feeding you. I mean, you got over 1,000, you got over 1,200 followers. Like you're doing it. You're doing something right.
I think I haven't looked up or I haven't broken down the numbers yet for this year, but last year, 34% of our agents that used us last year found us through Instagram.
No, stop.
34%. So that's their initial inspection. Obviously, if they came back, that went under a different category. 34% of our inspections last year, the first one came off Instagram.
I love this. No one's ever tracked this before. This is awesome. I love getting this kind of data because I always in my head knew it was important, but I couldn't quantify it.
Right.
Some people are like, not worth getting a few agents. That's more than a few.
Man, my top 10 agents, except for Allison, right? That she came from my father-in-law, but 9 of my top 10 agents came from Instagram.
Wow, that's powerful.
Right.
That's
And
really powerful.
most of those ladies do between 8 and 15 deals a year.
What percent of your waking hours do you think you and your wife is dedicated towards kind of Instagram, whether it's upkeep, content creation, thinking about it? Like if you had to bucket it, maybe.
Man, probably she does a lot. I mean, she probably puts in more work than I really give her credit for or even notice.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know what the right answer would be,
But hours, safe to say hours a week.
man, hours a week, man, maybe 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say.
And here's why I ask that, because I think a lot of inspectors think it's this thing you could throw 5 minutes at and then it yields all these returns and benefits. And it's kind of like life, right? It's like if you put time into it,
Right.
and it's the right activity, it'll grow, and things will work. So
if you want to do it right, you want to have an impact, dude, you gotta work, you gotta put time at it. You know,
but this is where agents hang out. I can't say it enough. I see them, I follow you
All
know,
the time, dude.
hundreds
They're
of
all on their phones,
them. Yeah.
especially the younger ones. You get a millennial agent, hell, you get a millennial buyer. I mean, they're all over Instagram.
Let's talk about now. Things started rolling. Clearly, things started working well. When did you hit the point of, well, first of all, you quit the full-time jobs at a certain point, right?
Yeah, I left. I left working the airline second to last day of April of this year. So I've been on my own for about 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks now.
Okay, so talk to me. One, I want to hear about more of the juggling both, because a lot of people that listen are new or newish inspectors, and they got jobs and they're doing
Mhm.
home inspections. What did you learn from that period of, like, first of all, it sounded like you didn't sleep ever.
Take naps. You don't sleep, you take naps.
But was that all intentional and part of the plan, or was it kind of like, let me just continue to see how this thing grows on the side and I'll figure it out eventually? Like, how intentional was 2021?
2021 was just trying to, because once we figured out, all right, cool, I'm going to keep the job. I'll keep my airline job. It's like, sweet. I can't quit this because look how good it's doing. But I can't quit the airline because I can't support myself yet on inspection money. So, okay, I guess we're going to do both. So, um, I probably figured that I was going to leave probably October of last year. Someone asked me at the airport because they knew I've been busy, right? They see me finishing up reports at the airport at night. I'd show up, I'd crank out my 2 reports, and all right, cool, time to work on jets.
Wow.
And someone asked me, so when are you going to leave? And I'm like, oh, I didn't really think of that yet. It's like, well, I've never made this much money from 2 full-time jobs before, so we'll see how tax season goes. If we prepare accordingly, I'll leave in April.
Yeah.
And I would almost without thinking, that's just what I said. And then every every now and again, someone else would ask me, and I'd say, yeah, probably April. And then April rolled around, and we did our taxes in March, and we prepared accordingly. Everything went well. Saved a little money. It's like, oh, April's here, and I told everybody April. So I was like, got to do it.
Was that part intentional? Because I'm big on, like, social accountability. Did you
Right.
purposely do that, or did it kind of just come out and you're like, oh, I guess I just talked myself into being done in April?
It wound up being more intentional as people asked, probably like December time frame. Is like, you know what? Like, I'm telling everybody April, we're gonna have to do it. And if I can swing it, we're gonna pull the plug because I'm getting awful tired working this 2 full-time job thing. So that was part of it for sure. It wasn't my initial reason for vocalizing April, but it wound up being the reason.
And it sounds like that wouldn't have been sustainable anyway to go much longer. You probably hit a breaking point at some
It's
point.
I mean, my last month at the airport was, April, and I did 30 inspections in April. Called out sick a lot from the airport. I'm not, but if you're doing 30, you can't work a full-time job. At least I couldn't. I was probably working 30 or 32 hours.
How are the support systems? How was home life? Like, did it have an impact? How did that play into everything? Because that's a very real piece that we probably don't talk enough about on the podcast, but it's real.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, I was working nights, and that just having a graveyard shift 5 nights a week, it's hard enough to keep a family life, let alone being gone for 2 inspections or 1 inspection every day. You don't get to see your family um, very often. That's one of the biggest motivating factors to leave. I had a Tuesday off. I went to breakfast, I went to dinner, took my kid to the beach. Like, you can't. I couldn't have done that last year. Not easily,
Yeah,
not while feeling refreshed, right? You're living life at 70% when you're working 2 full-time jobs.
at best. Yeah.
Yeah, at best, dude, always tired, coffee in hand.
So what did April feel like? Was it kind of just part of the path and you were like, oh yeah, I guess I'm doing this full time? Or was it I guess a big moment? Was it emotional, or was
Dude,
it kind of just like, dude, time to get to work on my next
man,
chapter?
a lot of nerves because that's a big step, you know. Breadwinner, family of four, got 2 little kids to feed. We bought a house in September, so now I got a mortgage to pay. So that's a big step. So, I had support from the family, and they're like, "All right, dude, you're gonna do it." So we're doing it. So I emailed my 2 weeks out and had like a little powwow with my wife, downstairs on the couch. All right, we're cranking. This is going to be our weekly schedule now. Wednesday is business development day. Every other day is an inspection day.
So Wednesday's business development day. I like that. So you block it off. You blocked it off from the beginning.
I don't do inspections before 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Every now and again, I'll put one at like 2 o'clock if we're busy. I don't want to turn down work, or if it's an agent that I'm real friendly with, I'll try to, try to get them in where I can. But this morning's been all Zoom calls, IEB work, a little bit of prospecting, trying to hammer down a wig and some lead measures. That's pretty much what Wednesdays look like for me.
That's amazing. I love that you block it off because then you commit to doing it, right? I imagine.
Have to.
You guys,
Otherwise, it's going to get booked.
yeah.
And then you can't do it. Then it's been a week. Now you're behind.
And you stay on the treadmill if you do that. I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that okay, so some nerves, but you were going. Did the fire of having the mortgage, the kids, the no kind of turning back, like, there's a metaphor of like burning the boats as you speak once you got on the island, where it's like there's no turning back. Did that help drive you? Because Mike and I starting Spectora had similar kind of thing where it's like, oh no, this has to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
This will work.
And having two jobs, I kind of got lazy with the growth, like, because I didn't need the inspection money. It was nice, but if we had a slow week, sweet, I got to rest.
Right.
And that probably hampered my growth a little bit in the first year or two, but that feeling of, like, exactly how you said it, like, this has to work. That's what it felt like when I got the notice to leave, that I had to leave my job. It's the same feeling I had in April. Like, hey, I put my 2 weeks in yesterday. Like, this has to work. Let's get to the grindstone. Let's do it. So definitely more energized, more motivated. There's no turning back now.
Was that not one of the more like liberating feelings ever?
Yeah, it's cool.
Like terrifying and liberating. Because I remember quitting my job at Home Advisor and the next day just sitting down at the desk of like, this feels weird. I haven't done this before. Weird. I haven't been.
What I found difficult, like my first week, like at home, was like coming up with like a daily schedule. Because I would sleep in and like the kids I'd wake up like 30 minutes before the kids, and as soon as the kids are up, there's no work happening, right? You're dealing with them, you're busy. So after about a month of just kind of like, I'm getting stuff done, but I feel like I'm wasting some time. All right, cool, I got to get up at 5 a.m. every day. Need to be in the office at 5:30 every day. I'll get an hour of work done before either of the kids wake up, and then the routine can start.
Right.
That certainly helped, because I can get a lot of work done in an hour, right? I can do accounting. I can do some prospecting. I can write my thank you cards without having crayons get put on it. So that helped. That was a huge help. Without like a hard set daily routine, because I don't have to clock in and out. I don't have to go. I don't have to be anywhere. So you gotta be your own boss a little bit, kind of manage your time a lot better.
So if I'm hearing you right, that structure was like clutch for you in terms of like creating those boundaries and time blocks.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me now kind of what your outlook is, because we're in some, I guess, if you read the news, some uncertain times as to what the future holds. We're coming off of an amazing 2 years, the post-COVID bounce. Looks like a mountain where it's like COVID up, COVID back down, and we're back where we're at prior to COVID in terms of annual home sales. What's your take on kind of where we're at? How much do you follow the local economy there?
I follow local stuff a lot closer than I do like national. I know like parts of like Northeast, they're having some issues, right? They're down a percentage. Last 3 months are my busiest 3 months. April I did 30, May 35, June 28. So we still have a lot more buyers than we have homes. Still working with like 5 weeks of inventory.
Okay.
So, rates went up and it knocked out a lot of first-time home buyers, but everybody who's a buyer now is super qualified, right? They mean business, and now they have a little bit more muscle. I saw a stat from Pacific West Realtors that 40% of home buyers in 2021 between $1 million and $1.5 million waived a home inspection. 40% within $1 million and $1.5 million.
40%?
It's what the graphic showed. Oddly enough, I saw it on Instagram from a title rep's Instagram page. And if that's true, and home buyers are getting more muscle, it's like business should be good.
So that could soften the landing is maybe your hypothesis, because I never had any data on that either. And we were
Yeah,
like, wow, we don't know how many were getting waived or skipped,
right.
but we know the number of transactions is going down. Can it offset a little? Can it help soften that?
Man, I know? No. Am I hoping so? For sure. You know, it looks like our market share is kind of staying the same, hovering about 3.5, 4%, kind of to the biggest cities that I track. I don't track every city, just the ones that matter the most to us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what the numbers from June look like, but my outlook's pretty good. I
Props
don't
to you for tracking market share. Not every inspector in their second year does that. I know there's the IEB influence, but also you seem good about structure and tracking kind of, whether naturally or learned. I think that's something, even if it's 0.00001%, I tell everyone to start tracking that right away because it gives you something to
right.
shoot for. What else are you
Well,
tracking and looking at?
how much you can grow too. Like the city I track right now is Long Beach because it's 70% of my business. I'm at 4% market share in Long Beach. So usually, if I could look at like how the market in Long Beach is tracking, I kind of know where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Like cool. Look, pending sales went up 20% in Long Beach, and sweet. So I did 8. Now I did 8 last month. I did 12 this month. Looks like we're right in line with that city, and helps with forecasting and helps with planning too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that, do you, I guess, keep your, do you export your data, throw it in a spreadsheet? Do you just kind of like back of the napkin it? Because I try and tell inspectors this doesn't have to be fancy to start. Like create
Right.
yourself a Google Sheets or a Excel sheet. Start there.
That's what we did. Actually, the guy from my IEB pod, back when he was in our pod, he's more advanced than us. Probably has 6 guys. He shared that with us, and I changed his cities to my cities, deleted all his data, and man, spent a lot of time at the computer, with the MLS in front of me, just like moving numbers over. Like, all right, cool. So this is where we're at, and just get clarity on kind of where you sit in your marketplace. Because before I had no idea, you know, didn't have a clue. And when you look at it, it's like, wow. So 4 out of every 100 inspections in Long Beach, I'm performing. That's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
You know,
And seeing
so
those numbers
it's
move and knowing what goes into moving those numbers, right?
yeah. We're not 4% in every city. That's just the one where we do the most business. So that's generally the one I track. Most of them I don't even enter data in anymore because I might do one a month. It's like
Right.
it's kind of negligible at that point.
Yeah. You kind of can wipe those out on the margins and not worry too much about it. Let's shift gears and talk about kind of, because you struck me as someone early on with like the partnership, the client portal and partnership stuff that you were like, cool, let's try it, let's see what happens.
Right.
Like I understand the concept. That's not the norm in our industry because things are shifting in terms of home inspectors, one, adding more ancillary services on one side, and then two, bringing more business segments in-house like
Hmm.
handyman, pest, plumbing. And so we're clearly trying to skate toward the puck is going in terms of allowing you guys to offer value add services that clients need and want, and see if you can add that value and get paid a little bit for it. What was your
Right.
mentality going in? What did you think initially when you saw what we were good doing? How did you think about this? Because you just seemed one of those guys to just get it right away. And there was like,
Yeah, it made sense because man, say you do 10 inspections a week, 7 of those are going to be asking you questions. Hey, man, you know a plumber or do you know a real estate agent or something? So to be able to like automate that, throw it like in front of them, like one saves me time. They don't have to ask me the question. Uh, Two, most of my clients are millennials. We love shopping online. That's the first thing they're going to look at.
yep,
I don't know how many of my clients have actually selected that stuff through the client portal. I know I got one check from ADT a while back, but it makes sense to me, dude. Like if I'm going to shop for something, that's the way I'm going to do it.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, you're so pragmatic about it that I love it, because to me, sometimes my conversations go really quick when inspectors like, yeah, like people ask me all the time for about warranty insurance information. I just send them the link and they take it or they don't. And it's out of my
Yeah,
hands.
yeah.
Um,
It's up to them as long as no one's spamming them. And the way you guys have it set up, it's opt-in anyways. So if they don't want it, cool. Delete the email. If you want it, sweet. There you go. Here it is. Enjoy.
yeah. Is there anything in your mind that can make this better? Any ideas that have popped up kind of throughout the last couple months? where you're like, you know what, I wish it did this, or clients are not reacting well to this, or yeah, how do you view the future of this? Because I think it could be a big piece of inspector kind of like influence and in revenue if
Mhm.
positioned correctly. And that's kind of, we're still in that phase of like
Right.
learning how to help position it for you guys.
Mhm. Um, I think with the big box, I don't know, but like big box services, I think that's pretty well set up, especially with the moving. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, like
With pods,
a
right?
lot of times these people haven't even thought about moving services because they're stuck in the whirlwind of this transaction. Their EMD just went out, or they're thinking about all the money they just spent not hiring a moving service. So just putting that in front of them is cool. Um, I think making it in the future a possibility to get more local contractors up there somehow. You know, like my favorite plumber, Golden Rooter Plumbing. Like I would put him up there for sure. You know,
Yep.
my favorite electrician. So when they get their report, say, hey, look, do you need any of these services? Like now that you've seen your home inspection report, here's a list of our favorite contractors. So for a while there, I had all my favorite contractors on my inspection report where they can basically click their logo and like link to their page.
Hmm.
Um, that was helpful, but not everybody did it. So maybe a better way to like present that. It was a direct link to them, and it was kind of like a soft sell. All right, because I wasn't pushing it. It's like here's some information for you. Like do with it what you want. Um, I think that would be cool, especially if you can maybe even get like a finder's fee out of it. Like if you're working with a big air conditioning company, it's like, hey man, here's ad space. You can purchase ad space on my client portal if you wish. No guarantee that someone's going to do it, but if you want to purchase the ad space, here you go.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's the way the world works. That's how digital advertising works. It's a,
Right.
multi-trillion dollar industry. And I think that's the model because that's something I believe vendors and contractors can wrap their head around, right? They pay for local mail, local mailers, they pay for Google
Right.
ads, they pay for ads on Facebook. It's another channel for them to get in front of, to get eyeballs.
Right.
Where do you see kind of your business going? Like, what are you thinking about? We're at the midpoint of the year, back half of the year, we'll see what happens, but it sounds like your business is healthy, your local market's healthy ish, healthy as can be.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to grow? Do you want to follow the mold of becoming multi? Do you like where you're at? Do you want to, yeah, tell me
Well,
what you're thinking.
I'm at the point now where I've done a few inspections, especially in the past couple of weeks. Some bigger properties, done a couple of fourplexes, some 4,000 square foot, kind of complicated homes. Well, that really should have been a team inspection.
Right.
Um, Man, I did one the other day. It took me 4.5 hours, and that's pretty long for me. I try to aim for about 3. Right, that's like the butter zone of everybody's comfort zone from standing in someone else's house.
Yep.
Um, Having some help would be nice. So I had a gentleman who consequently actually also works at the airport for a competing airline. I didn't know that until I met him. He emailed me and said, "Hey man, I want to work for you." He found me on Instagram. So I was like, all
Shocker.
right. So took him out for a beer, met him, talked with him. That 15-minute conversation quickly turned into an hour. And I took him on a ride along probably like 10 days later just to
Uh,
like feel him out, see how he acts at someone else's house, and just kind of like probe his knowledge on the house a little bit. He's internationally certified. I was like, cool, I'll get you on the roof, we'll get you under a house, and just observe. You don't have to help, you just soak up the energy. And went pretty well. So hopefully, if things keep working out, still have a lot of conversations to have with him and get some areas of his knowledge a little higher. But man, if I can have a part-time guy for the back end of this year, that'd be really helpful.
how else do you see that unlocking kind of some of your time too? Because it sounds like you've already been productive with your Wednesdays and and your wife. And so it's like, what else do you foresee you spending time on if say he graduates to a point of, giving you another half a day?
Right? Man, that'd be nice. Like Saturday morning, let me hit some open houses. Typically I'm doing inspections Saturday.
Yep.
And if for whatever reason I'm unbooked or I have a cancellation, like I'll stop by some open houses, but it's not planned. You know, that's
Right.
that's cool. Maybe I'll do some growth activities. Maybe I won't have an opportunity to. Tell that kid, hey man, can you work Saturday mornings? I'll give you an easy one close to your house if I got it. You just take care of that one. I'll go talk to 4 to 6 agents, try to grow the business, and Yeah, if I get any free time, definitely gonna do growth for sure. I think that's most important.
Are
Especially if
you?
he wants to go full time, I got to create the volume to support that.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you looking at add-on services? Like, what do you do any ancillaries currently, or are you thinking about bringing
We do a
more?
lot. So obviously, home inspections our most profitable ancillary services: sewer scopes, and then mold, and then pools and spas.
Okay, so you do those already, and they're
Yeah.
how's your is the take rate pretty good? Do you think about like are you thinking about that in terms of getting selling the whole shebang to a higher percentage of clients?
Um, yeah. So sewer scopes, when we started doing sewer scopes February of last year, and that revolutionized our average inspection fee. So we went from like 475 last month. I was at 651.
Oh, beautiful.
So you can live off home inspections, but selling your ancillary services gives you profit, gives you money to grow, money to feed your company. So I think our take rate this year so far, we're sitting like 21, 24% for sewer scopes. Granted, not all of our houses should have a sewer scope. A lot of them, some of them are condos. Obviously, it's not applicable.
Right.
20, 25% or so get sewer scopes, and that definitely helps. If I have a week of just condos, man, we feel it. Like that's, it's $1,000,
Right.
right? So it helps for sure. I mean, if you can do a sewer scope, do it. They're not hard to do. They take 15 minutes and you make good money doing it.
Beautiful. Have you? It's either in beta or out in terms of our kind of upsell functionality. You've probably heard about that, right? Because
Right.
you're on top of that. You're probably more in the know than me. Do you think that's going to help bump that? Because if you bump that to 30-40% on single family homes, huge, right? Huge for the bottom line.
Right. So before you guys release that, the way we sold sewer scopes is 5 minutes after I hit confirm the inspection, I get an automated text with some data from last year. It says something like, we inspected 87 sewers last year and 79 of them required repair to some degree or further evaluation.
Boom. Hit
So
them with a
that's in the
stat.
text and it goes straight to the buyer. And usually I just got one about 6 minutes ago. Hey man, I think we're going to do the sewer. So I just let that text sell the sewer. I don't really upsell it personally. I don't spend any energy on it. Just let the system take care of it.
So you do. So that's an action. You are you use advanced? Sorry,
Yep.
I didn't even check.
Mhm.
So you send that text with stats. So I always tell people use numbers. Don't just say, "Hey, need a sewer scope." Give them
Right.
some numbers. And then they call or email back, ask you to
Yeah.
add it
Usually
on.
they just reply to the messenger. Like we purchased that phone number through you guys. So usually they'll respond to that, and then we'll shoot them a text from my personal. Say, hey man, think that's a great idea on your 85-year-old house with a clay pipe. Like that's a great idea.
Yeah,
We'll bring the camera. We'll take care of it at the same time. We're there. Just expect an invoice update here in a few minutes, and we're off and rolling.
right. So you're probably pumped about if they get that client portal email and it's just like you flash that stat there, they just click the button and
Right.
you just see a dollar sign roll in.
Right. It's. I don't even do it. It does it itself. And to have it on the client portal is just another spot for them to see it. It's another touch point. Because sometimes they'll look at it and sometimes I don't get a response. They'll tell me at the house, "Hey, do you think we should do a sewer?" It's like you should. Maybe an extra touch point might get them
Oh,
to buy it a little earlier.
yeah, I'm so pumped if they get an email and you customize the email and they can click a button and do it. I can't wait for this. Like I know it's a nerdy home inspection thing, but like if you guys could bump your take rate up 10-15% without doing anything,
Mhm.
we've done our job.
No, it revolutionized our revenue for sure.
What else excites you when you think of this year, next year? What else about it could be industry or your business, but like what else, keeps you up, keeps you waking up excited?
And
What keeps you up at night?
just seeing how now we're doing like 30. It's like I'm not maxed out like service wise, but we're getting pretty close to hitting like 80% of our availability booked. So I'm interested to see how fast and how big it wants to get. Yeah, I'm meeting agents, but I'm not like feeding it super hard, right? Let's try to take more of an organic path to it. So I'm just kind of excited how much market share we could take. We're on track to do 320 this year, right? Just past or what 25 months in business. It's like, man, who knows what the
Amazing.
next 12?
Amazing, dude. Congrats. Congrats.
Thanks.
That's worth celebrating. Part of this pod, we don't probably celebrate and congratulate enough, but like you're 2 years in, right? You're 2 years
Yeah,
in.
June 1st was our 2 years.
Yeah. So what a good story and model of how to do it. And you seem to have a methodical approach as opposed to like, well, you did burn the candle at both ends,
Yeah,
having the
super,
full-time
super
job.
unfortunately.
But at least now you seem to be taking that linear growth path of saying like, I'm not going to hire 10 people, but I'm also doing a little bit of growth each week, and feeding the business that way.
Yeah, it's still got a lot of hats to wear, but you got to go meet people, especially, who knows what the market's going to do in the next 12 months. So try to stave some of that off, try to get in front of as many agents as I can between the end of the year. Like our WIG, my most important goal for the rest of the year, I want to increase our active agents from 32 to 64 by December 31st.
Awesome. Love this.
Theoretically, if I can increase active agents, revenue should hopefully stay about the same.
Love the specific goal. What do your agent interactions look like? Do you get coffee?
Looks like you froze there for a second. You still there?
Yeah. Hang on. Let's see.
All right, cool. As long as I can hear you, that's cool.
I think we're back. Can you see and hear me?
Yep. Good.
Cool. What do your agent interactions look like? Do you strive to get coffee with them? Do you do presentations? What do you talk about when you do get in front of an agent?
Man, generally just kind of usually my go-to question is, how's the market going? And I just get them talking. And it just kind of gets their wheels turning, kind of like loosens up the conversation a little bit. It took me a while to learn how to speak that language. Because if you're going to go talk to like a high producing agent, you got to speak their language, right? They'll have a little bit more respect for you right out of the gate. So usually that's like my go-to question. Hey man, like, where do you see the market going? And we'll just start there. A lot of times they'll come back, where do you see it going? I'll just say, well, it looks like all the first-time home buyers just got priced out, but everybody that's left is super qualified. And we just kind of let it roll from there and just try to keep it friendly. I don't push my business. I don't say, hey, you should use us, blah, 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 blah. I tried that in the beginning, but it feels super awkward. If they like you, they'll use you.
So are you trying to get coffee with them? Or are you just dialing, kind of emailing? Do you have a go-to approach, or do you try and do a little bit of everything?
I've been trying lately I've been asking agents I'm friendly with, our busiest agents, hey, can you give me a warm introduction to somebody that you think I can help?
I like that.
And just let their trust in that agent and that shared friend kind of transfer over to me a little bit. So meeting with a broker tomorrow, that an agent that I work with frequently is going to introduce us. So, hey, just come into the office, bring some bagels, I'll meet you there.
Beautiful.
But you know what? Sounds good.
And you just asked. You asked.
I don't know how much business I'll get, but say again.
Hang on, I'll give us a second to refresh here. Okay, we're back. But you just asked, and I think that's a theme lately. A lot of people are saying of like, I just asked for the referral. Yeah. Simple, but not easy.
Just pick the ones you're friends with and ask them. It's easy for asking a friend. You're asking like some top producing agent you just met 5 minutes ago. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Love that mug, by the way. So let's hit these quick hitter questions to close here. It's a theme, that was requested of like having some consistency on the pod. So what do you have a favorite toy inspector kind of tool that you love?
Yep, I got two. Sewer scope camera, because it brings a lot of revenue and it helps people too. Number two, we have the GPK 32. It's by Inspector Robots.
Okay.
They're out of East Coast somewhere, I think. Number two is we have a little robot. It's a track robot. We send it in the crawl space. COVID has not been kind to my waistline. I don't fit exactly where I think I should. So especially, even if you're working in an older house where things are a little tight, send the robot and get some pictures.
Yeah.
It keeps the value of your inspection high. It keeps you from just riding off the crawl space like, hey, I don't know what's in there because I can't fit.
Beautiful. What's one thing you should never do as a home inspector?
Give negotiating advice.
Easy, right? Never talk about that. So let's give advice. You may have more than one piece here, given this is all still fresh for you. Piece of advice you'd give new home inspectors.
Step out of your comfort zone earlier. Excuse me. Step out of your comfort zone. That's where growth happens.
Which you did with the Instagram. That's a clear example, right?
I have to.
Beautiful. A wish list item for Spectora to make your life better, Eric.
More data points, CRM.
Okay. Give me specifics.
Ran into something today. Let me pull it up. A way to track active agents. I can do a bootleg way through your new you go to like data exports, you go into your new
the reports, the new reporting, yeah,
right, your new client reports or contacts reports. You can kind of bootleg it that way, but it took me a minute to figure it out.
Awesome.
Maybe a graph with that. Maybe if I could track number of active agents over a given time on a graph, that would help me with my WIG for the year, right? I want to increase active agents over a specific period of time. Being able to see that visually would help.
Boom. I think that's in the works, but
cool.
I'm going to link you up with James or Megan to talk more about that as they're kind of building it or scoping it. It might already be in the pipes. So yeah, I completely agree. You being able to see who you need to reach out to, for one.
Maybe even just like a reminder email to me, hey, you need to call these 7 agents because you haven't seen them in 120 days.
Yeah, like a hot cold.
Right, that takes a lot of research, a lot of scrolling through months, trying to figure out who you have not seen. Because when you're busy, people are going to slip through the cracks.
Awesome. Got it. Well, Eric, anything else you want to talk about, man? Anything else we didn't cover? I've loved hearing your story, for one, and two, I couldn't be happier every time I couldn't be happier for you every time I see you pop up on like Instagram. Because you're just a good dude. I've always, appreciated your energy from just through email and Instagram.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, if I can give one tip, just step out and grow, get in an uncomfortable situation, make sure your numbers are right before you pull the plug. That's a pretty big thing to do. So make sure it's the right decision. But man, when you do it, go full force.
We didn't even talk about the blog, but I'm going to direct everyone in the description to go to crosswindhomeinspection.com. You've got the Slab to Shingle blog. I see you've got great content on there that speaks my language. That makes me happy to see.
Learned it from you, brother. Yeah,
hey.
Honestly, dude, most of the things I've learned, I've like harvested nuggets off your podcast and just applied it to my business.
Amazing.
I didn't think of all this on my own. I just steal other ideas and apply it.
I just copy people too, man. Just copy what works, right? Well done. I'll link to everything here because I'm sure an inspector or 2 or 5 or 10 are going to want to get a hold of you and just network and, network with like-minded people. I think that's what this is all about.
Sounds good, dude.
All right, Eric. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, man. Congrats again. You're just going to keep rolling. I can already tell.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate the time.
All right, man. Have a good one. Take care. Get some sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Later.
Take it easy.